Hey guys, welcome back to your trail buddy. I'm Ricky, and this is Moose. And today's not going to be one of our normal trail runs. Today we're going to start the first video in a new series that we're starting, where we invite a buddy along the way. We'll be talking about life, work, and whatever keeps us moving along the trail. Think of it like a podcast, except we'll be breathing heavy and trying not to trip over our own feet. As you can see, Moose is ready to go. This is Conor.
Hey guys.
A friend, co-worker, and also fellow trail runner. Conor's been serving and helping people for most of his life, whether in his current job or in his personal life. Ooh. Moose is getting me all tangled up.
Moose is ready for
So Conor and I worked many disasters together, but today we're just out trying to get some fresh air and have some good conversation. So if you're walking, running, or just looking for some entertainment, this is going to be the video for you today. All right. You ready? Let's see if we can figure out where our trail is. All right. Alrighty, so let's just make this easy to start with, Conor.
All right.
Just tell me, how did you get into trail running?
I've always loved running, and my whole life was just kind of craved running, and got into trail running when moved out here to Colorado, and it was just a better way to spend time than running on the sidewalks and through the suburbs and the city. That's just something I never got to really enjoy much when I was in Chicago. So once I got out here, trail running is way more accessible and way more fun. So started doing that and just on my own, and next thing you know, I'm running 50Ks in the mountains.
Nice. When was your first 50K?
It was 2020 actually.
Oh wow.
I was training for my first marathon, which was going to be up in Boulder. That got canceled, so I went out and ran it myself along the Platte River, and then just kept doing. I did my first trail half marathon, and then 2 weeks later did the 50K up in the mountains. It was the Snowmass Trail Festival up by Grand Lake, I think.
Nice. Oh, that's cool. How was your experience for your first 50K?
It was awesome. I think one of the best pieces of advice I got was Dr. Morrison up in Louisville. He's a doctor of physical therapy, was helping me out with some stuff. He just said, hey, just remember to look around and enjoy it. Remember to smile. And when it was really tough, I just remember that, looking around, being in the mountains. I mean, it was a tough 50K. I don't remember what the elevation gain was, but it was several thousand.
Right.
Up and down. It was a little over a 10-mile loop. But it was an experience, and one that when I finished, my family was there my boys and my wife at the end. It was pretty awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, my first 50K was last year, which was super awesome because I got to do it with a friend, but I wasn't planning on doing it. And I had just started running a lot last year.
Yep.
And all of a sudden got invited to go do this 50K. And I probably was not 100% ready for that. But
Bear Creek, right?
yeah. But I loved it.
Yeah.
And I, finished, which is what matters the most. And managed to get all the way to the end. My time wasn't fast,
Oh, nor was mine.
and I was sore as all get out. But it felt so good to do it.
I did my first at 39 years old. I wasn't gonna break any records or win the damn race. My goal was to finish, and to finish in a way I felt proud about, and I did. I think it literally took me, it was like 7 hours.
Yeah, on ours, we ended up taking probably a couple hours more than that. But one of the reasons was while we were on the trail, we ran across a runner who had been injured.
Oh man.
And unfortunately, he was at a part in the race where we had no cell service. And so he couldn't call the trail leads to come get him.
Oh man.
And so we just decided, we weren't worried about our time,
Yeah.
and that hanging with him until we could figure out how to get him off trail.
You were with Zach?
Yeah.
Nice.
So that killed probably an hour, which made the race even more interesting because starting back up after being standing still for an hour, that was so hard.
That's a unique one for your first 50K.
Yeah. But it was fun.
Well, I'm training hopefully to start getting back to it next year.
Oh, nice.
After that 50K, I ended up training. It was pretty hard for the next couple of months. And in 2021, I think I was averaging about 90 miles a week. And again, talk about running on pavement. I was doing a 10 miler in the evening in the neighborhood. Hit a piece of uneven pavement, rolled my ankle, and fractured my ankle. Just put a damper on my training.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of procedures and a couple of years later, but trying to get back into shape to start hitting those ultras again.
But that kind of, I think, happens to all of us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even this year, for me, I took a little bit of break during the peak part of winter because of how much snow we get in the mountains. And about the time I was ready to start back up again, I ended up getting COVID. Which I didn't really get sick, but
Oops,
it messed with my wind,
Yeah.
which then cost me a couple months before I could start back. And so, before I knew it, I was, 4 months out of practice skiing.
Happens quick, right?
And just getting back to trying to run again. So a good portion of our viewers for our channel are newer folks. So we're not, one of the things we talk about a lot here is that we're not super athletes, that we're your regular person who likes to get out and be athletic. So tell me a little bit about some of that for you, like what's the struggle like with trying to do this while, still having a job,
Yeah.
family.
It's just time. As everybody says, it's probably the biggest answer, the number one answer people give for not being able to work out, not being able to do the things they want to do. It's time. And, I agree but I also self-aware enough to call bullshit. I have 2 kids, 6 and 9. You know, they take up a lot of my time, and rightfully so. And I try to be present with them. So, I mean, we're out here running early in the morning. You know, my alarm went off at 4:35. I try to get things done in the morning before they wake up, before the day begins, because that's usually when I can find the time. But also, I think I'm a huge fan of I think everybody sets lofty goals, and then like, oh my God, I'm training for a marathon, and I missed my 5 mile yesterday.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, 2 days later, you missed another one. And then they just tank. Instead of just saying, speaking of Zach, guy who you ran with in a 50K, I always love, it's like, hey, used to get out of bed and say, hey, just got to do 5 minutes. Just got to do 5 minutes. And when you're tired, it's a lot easier to convince yourself to do 5 minutes than it is to say, I got to run 10 miles this morning.
Right.
So I think just knowing that, like, I'm not training for the Olympics. I'm training for longevity. And also this is my mental health time. And I enjoy doing this.
Yep.
So reminding myself of that, making time, and making sure that I'm not too hard on myself, and making sure I just do, like, hey, if it's 20 minutes, you showed up for 20 minutes today. That's great. Do it again tomorrow.
Nice. Yeah, we talk a lot on the channel here about, it's not about the miles, it's not about the speed, it's about showing up.
Yep.
And just doing it. I even recorded a video the other day because I spent 2 days cutting, splitting, and stacking three cords of wood to get ready for winter.
Yep.
And then helped my neighbor split another 2 cords for him. And I was exhausted.
That's hard labor.
And my muscles were sore and so much stuff to where, you know, I got to the trail the next day and it's like there were so many things in my mind that were saying, don't do it, don't go, wait another day. But, you know, in those times, I just kind of remind myself that there's so many positive things that I get from being out on the trail that it's not about convincing myself to push through and just do it. You know, the mental game is really just reminding myself of all the positive things I get from getting out there. And that makes it so much easier to convince myself to go when I keep it that way.
Yeah. It reminds me, I just did a 4-day hike through the Maroon Bells 4-pass loop. And the one thing, the group I was with, group of veterans with Team Red, White, and Blue, we reminded ourselves all the time, even when it was really hard, like, we get to do this. Look what we get to do. And like, remembering that, like, hey, like, it's a privilege to even be able to get out and do this.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as like, oh, I just mean, like, look at this right now. You know what I mean? We pulled an audible from Washington Canyon. I've been to Chatfield, God, dozens of times.
Right.
Take my dogs in the dog park here all the time. Never run around the reservoir. And like, damn, look at this.
I know, it is beautiful, and you can see the mountains from here.
Yeah.
It's just such a beautiful place. I used to ride my bike around here with one of my friends back in the day, but I haven't been here in 5-6 years myself, so it's kind of nice.
It is.
But that brings up the point where I'll mention that too for our viewers, you know. So this morning we started off with a plan, and you talk about having to adjust and figure things out. You know, we had this plan to go and we were going to run the first segment of the Colorado Trail, and this beautiful portion there, and totally spaced and forgot that they don't let dogs on the trail. And so we get there, and of course my options then were either leave poor Moose in the car and us go do the run that we were planning on doing, or, like Conor said, pull an audible, find something else that was close by, which meant we came, now we're running this other gorgeous area, but it's on a path. But you know what? We're still out. We're still doing something.
I think the one thing that I always think of too, because it was a downfall for me for a long time, is the people who live compare themselves to past athletes of themselves or past versions of themselves. Like when I was running those 80, 90 miles a week, you know, I'm running sub 8-minute miles, 40 years old,
right,
feeling invincible. Well, now I'm almost 45, and like maybe I get back to that, but like I think a lot of times people quit because they're like, they either go out of the gate and think they can be that person right away,
right,
and then they hurt themselves or get so sore they stop, or they're just like so disappointed in themselves because I've been there, but that they can't do what they used to do.
right.
And it's like, just change your expectations.
Oh yeah.
You're not like you said, a super athlete. You're just out there trying to get after it every day.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for me too. I mean, I'm closer to 50 now than I am 40.
Yep.
Reminding myself that, you know, it's okay to not be perfect, and that it's helped me shift my mindset to what's most important is getting out, enjoying myself, finding love for the trail, and just staying active, you know. Like, my goals nowadays are not figure out how to have the fastest time on a mile or do the fastest 5K. It's how do I keep active enough where hopefully I can live to be 70 or 80.
Starting with finding friends who like to do the same thing.
Absolutely. That definitely helps.
Find that community. And it's harder as you get older, for sure. It's a lot easier to find folks, you know, slam back a 12-pack of beers in the garage or on the couch,
Right.
than it is to find the friends who will wake up with you at 6 a.m. and go for a couple-mile run.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you? How are you finding this with like living on the road, heading up to Montana, doing all the things you need to do with your job?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely makes it tough, right? Because we're traveling for work, get to a new location, and you don't know the area.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have that friend network to motivate you. So for me, recently, I've been traveling a lot to Montana for work, and I decided about a month ago to just start taking Moose with me.
Yep.
And so he can kind of become my motivation buddy.
Hold on. Lost the mic.
Yeah. So, you know, Moose is a working dog. It's a very high energy dog that needs to have some activity. And so, having him with me up there, it kind of gave me the motivation that said, hey, if I'm going to make him come up here and be away from our other dogs who normally, you know, they can entertain themselves in the yard and get exercise like that at my normal house.
You owe it to him.
I owe it to him to get out, run a little bit. And so each morning we found a couple trails that we could get to and just made it one of our things where we got up in the morning and ran 3 or 4 miles so he could get some exercise, and so I could too. But even on some of my other work trips, I would say, you know, you just kind of have to prioritize, kind of like you would in regular life, right? There's times where I don't know where there's trails at, or we're in a big city where I'm really not a huge fan of running the city, so maybe I just go down to the gym and get on the treadmill.
Yep, you gotta compromise. Not everything's gonna be perfect, right? It's just about that showing up every day, which is much easier said than done.
Absolutely. God, look at that. It's just, I mean, even to be close to the city right now, right? It just shows you that there's always places you can find to get in, immerse yourself into the beauty of nature. I mean, seeing all the loons and ducks out there this morning, sun coming up, reflecting on the water. It's just gorgeous out here today.
Yeah.
A little chilly.
That's what running helps.
We're starting to get into that fall weather of Colorado where we wake up and it's 34 degrees and you get on the trail.
Layers.
Yeah.
Might be 70 in the next 2 hours.
Right. So out of all your years of running, do you have a favorite trail snack?
Whew. You know, I gotta go with my 9-year-old on this. Those damn, what are they? The waffle?
Oh yeah.
Caramel waffle things?
Yeah.
Those are real good.
Nice.
It was hand them out of races. I rarely have them myself, but those are great ones. But I'm pretty simple when it comes to, you know, your average hydration, and then probably a Go Macros bar, some sort of protein bar.
Yeah. Yeah, same for me. I think a lot of times I just stick some of those normal protein bars.
Yeah, I mean, I know like on the races and stuff, gels are super important, but I don't really do much on my own runs, if at all. I think if I'm training for a particular race, I might take some of those on my longer runs.
Yeah.
Just because I know that's what I'm going to be doing in the race. So
yeah, I try to do a lot of that. Like, it's really easy to get into the habit of, you know, if you're only running 3 or 4 miles, you don't really need much water. You don't really need much fuel for snacks. And so if that's our normal daily routine, which is just, you know, get out and do a few miles each day, it's really easy to get into that habit. So I'm always trying to, at least on the weekends, if I do a longer run, you know, make myself, even if I don't necessarily need it, drink extra water and, you know, take some snacks to just get in the habit of going, you know, hey, 30 minutes in, you should probably be putting some fuel in your body, because, you know, when you start trying to do a 50K,
Yep.
you know, I learned that definitely last year.
You think it's time for nutrition, it's already too late.
You're right. For sure. Well, have you had any favorite moments on any of your past trails? Like anything that just kind of pops to your mind?
You know, I mean, I think one of the reasons, you know, we went to, and why moose isn't allowed there, is at Waterton Canyon, it's super flat. It's an easy run, but like, man, I remember one of the times taking off early in the morning there and just turning the corner, and there's herd a big horn just like on the side, looking like defying gravity.
Nice.
You know, just a couple of feet from you on the trail. That one sticks out to me. I think that's just like being out with nature like that. And then I also love, I think this was a couple years back, I was kind of getting into a funk with my fitness and work and just life in general. And I was like, gotta get out of the rut. So I woke up at 2 a.m. on a Wednesday, went to Mount Bierstadt.
Wow.
And, you know, walked up Mount Bierstadt.
Right.
Just in time to catch the sunrise.
Yeah.
And it was cold.
That's the one up near Guanella Pass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like hit the trailhead super early. Tried to make sure I didn't get lost in the dark. But you know, Bierstadt's pretty well traveled 14er.
Yeah. Right.
But doing that, catching the sunrise on the top of a 14er, and then hauling ass down. I literally think I was at work by 9 a.m.
I love it.
What about you?
You know, recently, on one of our trips to Montana, I decided to take my fast packing backpacking gear up with us.
Yeah.
And Moose and I did an overnight in the beautiful mountains there in Montana.
Saw that video.
But we were running along the trail, and of course, naturally, didn't have a camera on, and so we turn a corner, and what do we see? A bear cub.
Oh,
Which of course,
it's cool and terrifying.
Anybody that's ever been out, you know, running in the mountains knows that is probably one of the most terrifying things you can see, because it's not that the bear cub itself is terrifying.
Well, Mama's around somewhere.
It's where is Mama that becomes the terrifying part. And so, thankfully, I was able to announce myself, and the bear cub ran off. And thankfully, we did not see Mama, but definitely had my head on a swivel for the next mile. So, what advice would you give somebody, you know, when they're just starting out? So I got a lot of viewers who maybe are new to running, or like us, getting into that mid-time of life where they're trying to get back out and be active. But they're not quite there yet, right? They're not gonna go out and run 5 miles right off the bat. But what would you tell them when they're just kind of starting out?
I would say habit, consistency, and discipline beat motivation any day of the week. And what I mean by that is, if you wake up, I mean, I think there's a lot rolled into that, but I already mentioned, like, just, especially starting, just really temper your expectations. Like, getting up and running a mile is phenomenal. Like, if you are dying and it's a half mile, that's phenomenal. Walking around the block is phenomenal because you temper your expectations. And if you just tell yourself, if you're starting, I just got to get around the block. Get around the block that morning.
Right.
And I think something, Paul Shirley, NBA player, he runs an organization up in Golden. I was, long story short, mentoring some entrepreneurs and stuff on Thursday. He made a really good point. He talks about, focus time. And hey, Paul, I'm going to focus on this one task for 15 minutes. And then they come back and they're like, it was great. I got so involved. I had my head down for 3 hours. And he's like, no. Because then that sounds great at the time. But then your body goes, hey, and your mind especially says, hey, I'm not falling for that shit again.
Right.
You told me 15 minutes and then we did it for 3 hours.
Right.
So stick to your promises. If your expectation, if you're like, hey, I'm starting from scratch, walk for 10 minutes. And when you hit 10 minutes, stop.
Yeah.
If it's run for 10 minutes, you hit 10 minutes, stop and walk. Like, be very intentional with your goals and your expectations, and you'll have 10 times better success than somebody who goes out and just is like, I'm gonna run a 5K and starts running 3 miles every day.
Right.
I think that, like, built into that consistency and the discipline to do it every day, just showing up every day. And if you are dying, just getting up and going through the motions is better than staying in bed.
Yeah.
Even
true.
if it's a terrible workout, or you're like, I gotta run 3 miles today, and you walk most of it.
Right.
Like, just showing up is a win.
Well, and that's one of the things I talk about a lot on here is that, that it's okay to walk. Like right now, I mean, we're walking for just a minute because, of course, we're running our miles while we're running. And so every once in a while, it's nice for me to just catch my breath a little bit. And so it's all about getting out. And so what if you have to walk some? Like, don't judge ourselves, because I promise you, if you get out and you stay consistent, like you were saying, and every time you walk a little bit, run a little bit, every time you get out the next time, you'll find that you're running a little bit further.
Yep.
You're going a little bit further without losing your breath. And the next thing you know, you got a friend talking you into doing 50K.
It happens. Remember when you said, hey, Conor, I want to start running, and we started running
Right.
3 to 4 miles after work. I think it was, 2 or 3 months later, you're running a 50K?
Right. So, no, but I like that. I mean, another thing I talk about some on the trail is, taking some time to play that mental game, right? Which is, I like to stop every once in a while and look around.
Yeah.
But really pay attention to finding things that I see as beauty around me, because I feel like it trains my mind to say, hey, this was fun. I got a lot of cool, hits of dopamine or whatever that may be, that allowed me to get out and do this, to where the next time I try to do it, my brain goes, yeah, I'm game for that.
Yeah, I love it. You got to, otherwise, that's why diets don't work, right? Like, because you're telling yourself you're gonna do something you don't like. Well, running should be something, especially trail running, which, by the way, is a lot of walking. Should be something you're enjoying. And if you take those mental moments to be like, holy shit, it's a really beautiful sunrise. It's a really beautiful lake. Next thing you know, your mind's gonna tell you like, hey, let's go back there and do that again.
Yeah, that's kind of the nice thing about living up in the mountains there. It doesn't take much
Yeah.
to convince myself to get out there. So, you mentioned kids, wife.
Yep.
Do they get out and run with you any?
My wife's not much of running. She's a yoga person, but she's done some 5Ks with me. The boys have done some 5Ks with me, and as they get older, I'm, one thing I do have them a lot. Like yesterday, we did a 4-mile hike.
Nice.
With 1,000-foot elevation, gain up at Silver Dollar Lake and Gonella Pass. Like, just enjoying, getting them to enjoy being outdoors and physical activity, whether they realize it's physical activity or not.
Yeah.
So, we're pretty active. I don't run with them as often, but I think we're building the base for them to really enjoy it more.
Right. Hey, I was
And
gonna
do
say,
that when they get older.
they're probably a little too young to
But
really
like,
be running too much.
I'm not huge on Spartans, but I do some of those with Team Red, White, and Blue,
All right.
the veterans charity I work with. And like I had the boys do that with me. They did a kid one, and they were young, like 5 and 6, 5 and 7.
Okay.
But they loved it,
Oh, nice.
and it's just something short. Again, manage expectations, and they loved it. And I think those are the types of things that when we get them out, you can tell, especially my youngin', when we're on a hike and he thinks it's work, it's painful for him.
Right. Look up on the ridge there. I don't know if you guys can see the deer.
Oh, wow.
They're a little ways distance for the camera, but there's about
Good.
6 deer
6 of them, 7.
on the ridge that Moose can smell. You can tell he's caught their scent, but he doesn't know where they're at yet. Yeah. So I mean, I think that's good, man. I think it's important that all kids growing up have some form of physical activity.
Yep.
Whether that's, it could be a sport that they like. Oh goodness, so you're close to the trail.
Yep. Oh, you want to turn
Good.
around here?
We could do that probably. Is that?
A whole bunch of them for you, Moose.
I know.
Like on the path.
I was gonna say, let's walk up a little closer just to let our awesome viewers get to see them a little bit. But let's see what happens with Moose. What do you think, Moose? Huh? See, these are the reasons, guys, that we get out here.
Yeah, look at
Because
that.
even here in the city, we find the beauty of nature out here around us. Look at those mountains.
I know. Can't go wrong here.
All right, let's walk to the pavilion maybe, and then we'll turn around. But yeah, so back to kind of what we were talking about. I used to even do with my boys when they were younger. We had a rule that, you have to at least be in something,
Yep.
get you a little active in school or something. So that could have been, for one of my kid boys, that was football. But for another one of them who didn't really care for sports, his was cross-country running.
Yep.
You know, and so, but then I would also too, I mean, like in our own free time, we would get out, and I didn't necessarily take them running as much, but when they were younger, but we would go hiking and backpacking, and just because for me it was more important at that age to, like you said, get them to actually enjoy
Yep.
being out there. And then as they got older, you know, my oldest one, who, you know, was doing the cross country, he and I'd get out and do some runs together. You know, we even backpacked the Colorado Trail, almost 500 miles.
Yep.
Together.
No small task.
Yeah, I mean, so, but that was all because we did the right things of, you know, taking it slow in the beginning and just teaching them to enjoy this kind of stuff the same way we do.
Yeah. Yeah. My boys are in soccer, which they love. We do wrestling in the winter. Usually soccer or flag football in the spring. I mean, they're always super active. And I think the one thing, like we just keep mentioning is like, well, for instance, my 6-year-old, almost 7-year-old, he's like really good at soccer.
Right.
But he's 7, like almost 7. Like some people just hunker down and they're like, oh my God, we're going to specialize. I'm like, man, just get them to enjoy sport.
Right.
Enjoy the activity. And that's the whole point. I'm like, if they said they wanted to pick up skiing, there's another guy out there.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's a little one.
A couple of them coming up on the ridge.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I just, whatever they want to try now, that's what I'm shooting for.
Look, it's the wildlife viewing area.
Makes sense.
Do you think they pay these deer to hang out in the wildlife viewing area?
Look at them just coming
I was
across.
gonna say there's another 6, 7. God,
Some youngins.
it's so pretty. Yeah, my dad used to love this about the wildlife near populated areas, how used to people they get.
There.
Here, let's just turn around here so that we don't separate.
Sorry, we cut you guys off.
Yeah, but how used to, you know, they get used to seeing people, and he used to just find that so fascinating because we grew up, you know, kind of out in the middle of nowhere in rural communities down south, and you know, deer were hunted more than they were
Yeah.
more than they were viewed.
That.
So he used to love it when we would go to the national parks. Was this where we?
Turn around. Yeah.
I think so, yeah. But he used to love it where we'd go to the national parks and, you know, there'd be like
Yeah.
an elk standing on the side of the road. Hey, swap with me because he's a lefty. He likes to be on the left side of the trail.
Well, we were driving up in your. Yeah, we hiked up in your neck of the woods, up by Marshall Falls this weekend too.
Yeah, I saw that.
And we were driving back. I don't know what road we were on, but like, you know, through the heart of Evergreen, and I was just telling my wife, I was like, I remember the first time I saw a massive herd of elk was like rolling through there, and 2 seconds later we like turn and there is this enormous elk just sitting on the riverside like in someone's yard with huge rack just like chilling.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the boys were going like, oh my God. Like, yep. That was like somebody's front yard.
All right.
Like, oh, so awesome.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny too, because even in our house, living up in the mountains, we'll get deer and elk and other things in our yard sometimes, and it goes from you love it, but then also hate it, because my wife hates that they'll eat all of her flowers and do all kinds of things. So she normally has the dogs go out in the yard and run them out.
Yeah.
So they don't eat up all her flower beds. Come. and say we're gonna have to get further away from where all these deer have been traveling to get him to focus more on being on the trail.
Yeah.
He's focused on all the smells that he can smell from them right now. Come. Come on. All right. Let's, oh, goodness.
Oh, there it goes.
All right. Since I haven't really started, we'll jog past the deer this time so that he can. Oh, almost. Let's get all these.
You got birds on it. A bunch of branches, bud.
All right. Come
on, buddy.
So I talk a lot on these videos about a lot of the mental health that trail running helps give me.
Yeah.
You know, what are some of the things that maybe you've learned, you know, through the years that maybe help you in the same kind of manner?
You know, I mean, that's a great one. I mentioned earlier is my mental health time. You know, I have tried many times throughout the years to meditate, and I still do my best with that, but like nothing gives me that just self-reflection time than just being by myself, focusing on my breathing, focusing on my running. I mean, that's meditation, and that's running. And I think especially when you're doing trail running or like really hard hiking, you know, when I mentioned the 4-pass loop, you know, when you're going up long, steep inclines, like matching my breathing with my steps, with my muscle movements, it's just something that helps get you through the hard times physically. And then, you know, when I have hard mental, emotional days, going out for a run and just being in your own headspace and working through whatever you're working through in your head, just for me, that physical and mental connection just works really well.
Right. Yeah. One of the things I talk about a lot, especially, you know, like right now today, you know, we're running on a concrete path. It's a beautiful park,
yeah.
Beautiful reservoir, but it's really easy to allow ourselves to be thinking about a lot of stuff and stuff because you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
You're not having to pay attention to your feet and where you're placing your footing. But like, you get on some single track in the Rocky Mountains.
Yep.
And
whole different ballgame.
If you're not watching and focused on the next 2 steps, you're gonna eat it. And so, one of the things that I like so much about that is that it makes me get out of my thinking space in my head. So, if I do have stresses from the day or from work, it's a lot easier to leave them behind and really kind of get into that meditative stance. I'm actually thinking about one of the videos that I'm thinking about doing here soon is a trail runner's meditation, to where I just take the sounds of running on gravel and use that to help somebody
visualize, meditate,
and just, you know, instead of doing your traditional meditation type thing where they say, you know, eliminate all sound, quiet your mind. You know, I found for myself, as somebody with ADHD, you know, that taking and focusing on something,
Oh yeah.
and the rhythm can actually help me better.
And trying to clear.
Yeah, you know, because you can kind of take the sounds of the trail, and even if I'm not on the trail, I can just listen to that and really let my mind focus on that moment, on that action, and visualize myself running, visualize my feet hitting the ground, and that'll allow me to get, you know, in that meditative state.
Yeah. Oh, I heard it on your other video when I was going through, and you're just, when you did with the chest cam,
Yeah.
and like just that gravel.
Yeah, it's such a cool thing. Have you ever heard of, somebody told me the other day, and I found this so interesting, that I'd never even heard about it, but they called it men's sleep noise. And it was supposed to be things like, you know, running, or it was supposed to be things like the clanking of, you know, tools and, you know, city sounds. And I was like, I've never heard of somebody, you know, because the person who was telling me, they're like, yeah, it's this new thing that, you know, because, you know, a guy's guy doesn't want to listen to a babbling brook to go to sleep.
Wrong.
I know. I like that stuff. But I just thought it was so funny. I was like, man's sleep sounds.
I think that's, yeah, that's just like, that's some sort of marketing thing towards all these new people that need to be machismo. I'm like, because, I don't know, I don't even men who I know are in the trades, I don't think they want to hear a fucking wrench rattling to put them to bed.
Right. I don't know, I found it interesting.
It is. I get the trail running one.
Yeah, I mean, it did make me think that, you know, not sure that I want to record an 8-hour running sounds, but I thought it was kind of an interesting thing to think about, sleeping to the sounds of somebody running. So what are some of your recovery habits?
Well, I know a lot of people don't, but I'm a big fan of cold plunge. I have one in my house. You know, just straight up stretching.
Yeah.
It's hard to think. I'll just be the first to admit how terrible I am at keeping up with it. But when I would say at my best and running the most and the fastest for me, I would spend a good hour a day just long, slow stretching. And it's just, I mean, everybody knows it. There's no secret.
No.
It prevents injury, promotes longevity, it's everything. But that coupled with, I'm a big fan of the cold plunge, and if you have the capability of doing like a sauna, cold plunge, oh Lord, that's so good.
I know, my sad day happened this weekend. My hot tub at my house broke and gave out about a few months ago.
Well, now you got a cold plunge.
and I'd been, you know, in my own mind saying, oh, I'm going to get it fixed. But then I realized, I mean, it's like I don't know, probably 20 years old.
Yeah.
And finally, my wife was like, this thing's dead. You need to get rid of it. So, of course, it was so big they had to cut it in 4 halves or quarters in order to get it hauled to the dump. But I say all that with the fact that my favorite, routine was to cold plunge for 4 or 5 minutes.
Yep.
And then go jump in the hot tub for 10 minutes. And then go back to the cold plunge. And then back to the hot tub. And do that for however much time I, maybe had.
Yep. Oh God, I love it. It's so good. It's so good for you. And I know people, have thought about cold plunge, cold showers.
It's tough.
Intimidating.
Yeah.
But the benefits are so good.
Yeah, I agree. And I also agree that stretching is something I myself also have a challenge with. I love it, and I know it's very beneficial, but it's so funny how, I can make sure not to talk myself out of getting out and running.
That's it. We all live the busy lives, and it's real easy to be like, I just ran for an hour or 30 minutes. I just lifted for 45 minutes. Gotta get to work.
Right. Don't have time to stretch.
Don't, even if 5-10 minutes. Nope. Nope. Too busy.
All right.
And I am guilty of it all the time.
Yeah, I've been trying to at least get into the habit of, even if I don't stretch right after the run, or if I just do minimal stretches right after the run, I try to, at night, when I'm watching TV, stretch while watching TV.
That's a good one. It's that habit stacking. Like, I got up this morning and that's what I did, was stretch.
Yeah.
Literally rolled off the bed onto the floor. And I only stretched for 5-10 minutes, but it's just trying to build habits that are beneficial.
Yep. So we've talked a lot about the positive stuff. What's maybe one negative moment you've had in trying to be out and stay active?
I think like the first one that comes to mind is the injury, right? Is because especially when you build habits, you do all this, becomes part of your routine in your daily life, and then to have a major disruption like that, it's devastating.
Yeah.
It can be. And I'll be honest, it really threw me into a funk because it was just so hard. And then the recovery just took years.
Yeah.
Because I just kept re-injuring. But I think, again, just tempering my expectations, saying like, hey, like, you're not training for a 100-miler anymore.
All right.
At least not now.
All right.
And just taking a little bit of humble pie for me of just being like, hey man, like, just start training from scratch as if you are running for the first time. And I think that was it took me a long time, but yeah, that injury,
Morning.
especially for somebody who, like, one of my big things about that journey was that I started to think of myself as an athlete again.
All right.
So it starts to ingrain in your identity, and then all of a sudden you can't do that thing anymore. And for like a extended period of time. And it's really hard. I think probably the best piece of advice I got was training, like rehab becomes the new thing.
Yeah.
Like the injury is now the new goal. I think that was probably the first top of mind. I think that was hard. And then again, it's just the other one that is a constant is like what we're out here doing right now. Like I try to be very present with my family, and this kind of stuff takes time away from them.
Sure.
But in order to be better when I'm with them, this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. I mean, I would say, definitely one of the most challenging things I think I had was, like many people, through COVID, we let ourselves, we stayed inside a lot. We didn't venture out much for a while. Then you find yourself depressed more, eating more.
Yeah.
I got to the highest weight of my life at that time. And just trying to get back out was tough, man. It was a big mental challenge. Because whether I was out, hurting because I ran my first mile or so, or it was the mental challenge of being hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Like being out on the trail, and it's really easy for the mind to start doing things like telling you, hey, you suck.
That's the,
you can't.
That's
you
the
can't
flip
at least,
side of the mental health part we were talking about.
You can't at least run a mile. You can't do this. You're so out of shape. And so, but for me to get past that, I really had to learn, that be kind to yourself part. And I think that probably played a lot into like what you were talking about with, your recovery. Like you had to eventually go, it's okay. This was out of my control of my injury, and it's okay that I'm not the same person that I was a month ago.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, can you think of anything that you learned in that experience that you didn't maybe know before, that you had to learn in that year or so of rehabbing and getting back out?
Yeah, I think, I think for me it was just really, the one thing that I really picked up is like, hey, and it was another hard pill to swallow, but like, I learned in a good way that like, you can't get too wrapped up in one thing. Like I said, like that running and me like doing that became like so much of who I was.
Right.
And then when that was gone, I was like, what am I doing? Like, and just realizing that like, hey, you're so much more than one thing. And, I was just like, okay, like when I started picking up kettlebells and doing other things that like, hey, that you find new passions, and it's not that or this, it's that and this.
Right.
And I think that and is a huge thing that I've learned over these last couple of years is like, it doesn't need to be or.
Right.
You can be this and that.
Yeah,
and there can be a lot of ands.
You do a lot better than I do about having some of those multi-layers in your fitness routines, because I know you still do a lot of strength training. Whereas when I, especially in the summer, get into a point where I'm running a lot, you know, I really let the strength training go to the side some, which I shouldn't do, but it's just kind of what happens.
Yeah. Well, especially because running it requires so much time. So saying like, all right, let me take out another 45 minutes to go lift some heavy things.
All right.
It's like, nope, I'm good. I ran 6 miles this morning.
All right.
But especially as we get older, and I think that was like, again, part of the learning was I wasn't gonna get back to running by running like I needed, because that was just what led to the injury, re-injure. Like I needed to spend time building up my strength and my flexibility and mobility, and it took me a while to figure it out, because I just wanted to get back on the trails. I wanted to lace back up and get out there, but it also helped me really like grow that love for, I start to crave that strength training the same way I crave the running.
Nice.
So that was definitely a benefit of that, something that I learned out of that.
Nice. Oh man, it's been a great run this morning.
It has been.
So, question for you.
Yep.
As you're the first of the series of what I'm gonna deem as the running podcast, I want to create some traditions for the future ones. And so I've got a few thoughts, and I thought I'd let you weigh in on which one you maybe think you like. But so this one podcast that I follow, they do a tradition where each guest gets to ask one question for the next guest, not knowing who the next guest is going to be.
I like that.
And so, it's a question that kind of gets to get passed forward in all the videos. So I do like that habit and tradition. But then I came across a couple others. Another tradition that I saw was like at the end, just taking a moment and taking a deep breath and saying, I feel, and then saying, how you feel now after the run, and letting that bring a little bit of, clarity and thought to the mental portion of, the benefits that we get from this. And then another one was doing bringing your favorite trail snack and having folks, we can test them along the way, was another one that came up. And then the last one that I saw was everybody taking, trying to find some wooden tokens or something.
Yeah.
And having the guest scratch one word on the token that for them represents, being out, being active, and some of that portion of things. So out of all of those, what are maybe your top one or two favorites?
I think my top is the question to the next guest.
Okay.
I think the reason that's my top is because it helps create community and connection between, otherwise we'd be done.
Yeah.
And I'd be done. But now I want to know who the next guest is and what their answer is to my question.
Right.
And so will your viewers, hopefully.
Right.
And that may even introduce me to them and get me to reach out. So you know what I mean? I think it helps create community.
Right.
I really, really like that.
Nice. I like that explanation of it. I hadn't thought about some of that parts of it.
And then I think the second one, I really like the I feel.
Yeah.
Kind of brings a nice closure to the run and also beginning to the rest of my day anyways.
Yeah. True. No, I like that too. And too, like I said, I mean, I guess nice thing about traditions, we can have as many as we want.
Yeah. Yep. I like the wooden nickel too. It's a lot of scratching to put supercalifragilisticexpialidocious on the one.
Right. Nice. Nice.
I'm a Navy guy. Like, we do military. We do coins, man. So a wooden nickel one kind of sings to me. But.
Nice. Well, cool. No, I appreciate the feedback on that. I think this will be, I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to, having future guests on and just, doing some fun things and having some cool conversations out here.
Well, thanks, Ricky. I love like our talks together. I love like this coming together, and I feel very honored and privileged to be your first guest on here.
Yeah, definitely.
I love running with you.
Same.
And just, like this to me, it means a lot, and I hope it means a lot to the people watching and following, because you don't need to be a super athlete to get out and be active and enjoy nature, and this kind of just shows two people who have very, very busy lives. Like I know what you do for a living.
Right.
You know what I do. We got families, we got side gigs, we got all the things, and so I really appreciate like just the opportunity and for you getting me out here.
No, thank you. Thanks, Connor.
And you, Moose. Thanks.
No, I think that does great at wrapping us up as we come kind of close to an end here. For those of you, if you've made it this far and you're watching, if you enjoyed this, please leave a comment on the video, hit like, hit subscribe, because we're going to have a lot more of these in the future as we come forward. But hopefully you guys got something out of this and can get out and do your own thing. Feel free to let us know and let me know, what are you doing to stay consistent and to get out, even in your busy lives. So hope everybody had a great day.